Hey guys, what is up? My name is Jack, but you can call me Lionhearts, and today, as the second part of my Battle of the Hero Shooters series, we're going to take a deep dive into the open beta madness that is Hi-Rez Studios' Paladins. Paladins is the newest game of the bunch that we will be reviewing, and just like TF2, it is free to play. It entered into its open beta cycle only late last year, but make no mistake, this game has been in development as far back as 2015, and frankly, it shows some of the best polish among the many inconsistent early access titles available on Steam. One thing we have to address immediately is the most common controversy players unfamiliar with the game like to bring up. Paladins is not a clone of Blizzard's monumentally successful Overwatch. In fact, this claim is so baseless that the only way it managed to get perpetuated were through people who had no knowledge of the game and made many rushed assumptions simply due to the fact that Paladins started its open beta a few months following Overwatch's release. The games do share stylistic similarities and are both fantasy hero shooters. Where Overwatch feels like a first-person shooter taking nods from a MOBA, Paladins is more accurately a MOBA trying to be a first-person shooter. That may seem a little unclear, but you'll see as we go forward. But before we break down the awesome gameplay elements, it's important we talk about Paladins' free-to-play system because it can be an immediate breaking point for some. So, being that Paladins is a game all about its heroes, they're the single most important and diversifying factor in any game like this, and being that Paladins is choosing to be entirely free to play, the biggest question we have here is, can I get the full experience without having to spend any money? And this is a fair question. We've seen over the years that there are a fair number of examples of free-to-play multiplayer games being unfairly pay to win, giving the person with the deepest pockets unfair objective advantages and shortcuts that no one else can have unless they fork over the same amount of money. The thing is, and I think most of us can agree about this, that those types of games are usually developed by lesser known, lesser quality studios. Definitely not a studio held to the same set of standards as Hi-Rez. Many of us should be familiar with Hi-Rez's business practices if you've ever played Smite, their hugely successful MOBA, and thankfully the same business sense carries over to Paladins as well. Champions will cost you anywhere from 12,500 to 5,000 gold, which is the in-game currency you earn through play, and with the help of weekly quests, champion progression, daily login bonuses, first win bonuses, and general play, you'll be able to unlock any champion you want with relative ease. You won't be able to unlock everyone immediately, and unfortunately for some, this grinding can be a bit of a time sink. And that's unfortunate because it will turn some people off of the game. Alternatively, obviously you can just buy the champions with real world money. And thankfully for all of us, none of the major gameplay affecting elements are held behind a paywall. The only items made strictly for cash purchase only in Paladins are cosmetic skins and loot boxes. And those loot boxes are to roll the dice and have a chance at getting those cosmetic skins if you don't want to spend more money just to get what you want outright. And loot boxes or whatever, they don't affect gameplay, so I don't really care. Cosmetics are the same way, they look cool, but you don't have to buy them. All in all, it's a very fair free-to-play system in my mind, and really the only money I can say that is truly justified in being spent on this game is for their Founders Pack. The Founders Pack is $20 and gives you all current and future champions unlocked and ready to go, as well as a nice chunk of gold and some other goodies to get going in the game. I think it's a really great value as Paladin's dollar to in-game currency translation is really bad in my opinion. Most cosmetic skin sets are usually $7 to $8 and more, and champions themselves are like $5 a pop, and when you take it to the counter there are over 29 champions in the game with many more to be released. The Founders Pack pays for itself in due time, and if you're dedicated to the game, I'd say it's very worth it. Now that we've talked about money for far too long, we can finally take a break and dive into some of the unique features about Paladins. I would say that Paladins features a happy middle ground between TF2's massively diverse loadout system and Overwatch's static, unchanging characters. When it comes to character customization, you have this very intuitive card-based system to augment and adjust certain aspects of each champion to suit a slightly different playstyle. How is this done? Well, each champion comes with 3 legendary cards, and these offer large augmentations to the base kit that serve as a basis for building your deck around. Let's take one of the most common and powerful champions in Paladins, Drogos, as an example. He's a very high damage character with a rocket launcher, a jetpack, and some other goodies to help him along the way, and his legendary cards are there to take key factors of his kit and enhance them in certain ways. Like, you have cards that make his rockets more effective, cards that will make some of his ability combos more effective, and you have one that's just there for like enhancing his movement because he's a very slow character. And all these are very viable playstyles for him, and it's up to your preference which one you take and what you build your deck around from there. And you can use cards to support that legendary card and give you additional augmentations like more health or like regeneration based off of certain attacks. You can movement speed, you can protect yourself from debuffs from other enemy attacks. There's a lot of different ways to mess with the decks, and there are great community resources as well if you don't know what you're doing. There's a very great website called PaladinsDecks.com that was made by the community and is like a crowdsourcing of everyone's favorite decks, and they have a very nice, very simple layout explaining to you how to build the decks very fast. Fantastic website. It's something I've been using since I started playing the game, and really it streamlines the whole process. So even if you don't want to mess around with the deck system, you just want to get a kit and go, there are resources within the community to do so. All in all, once you're done with your loadouts, you're ready to play, and what you're going to encounter are two main game modes that the community really rallies behind, and that is Siege and Payload. I've talked enough about Payload in my TF2 video, so if you want to hear more about that, make sure you check out my previous episode. Boom, selfless plug, done, out of the way. Anyways, Siege is a very interesting round-based game mode. There's a single King of the Hill style point that both teams have to fight to capture. Once one team does, they spawn a payload and must push it into the enemy base. Capturing a point is worth 1 point, pushing the payload is worth another point, and stopping the payload as the team who couldn't capture the point is also worth a point to yourself. It's the first of 4 points and it's round based, so once one team caps and either succeeds or fails in moving the payload, everything gets reset, and during that time, each team gets to purchase temporary upgrades through credits to be able to give themselves an edge. And that is another big aspect, and I would say this is probably the most MOBA thing about Paladins, is the credits and the upgrades you can get while play. You get your credits from basic play, like, you know, killing enemies, you know, assists, capturing the point, playing the objective. And once you die or you find yourself at spawn after a round reset, you can purchase items that will give you small buffs to kind of help you along. These buffs can be very important to the tide of the game, you know, stuff like making enemy healing less effective, or charging your ultimate faster, or being able to get into battle faster. All these things are very important, and it puts a lot of importance on who gets those upgrades first. If you know the enemy team has a really good healer, well, you're going to want to hinder his performance as much as possible, so it makes it even more relevant that you get those upgrades online to be able to stop him. It's a really cool system, and it makes the early game very important because the first team to get everything online will have a better chance of being able to snowball their advantage into a victory. And all in all, I would say that the game works very well from a competitive experience. The games are very fun, very exciting, and there are a lot of very tense moments, satisfying victories to be had here. And the community echoes this. Paladins has a very lively competitive and esports scene that is held up very well by Hyros themselves. They sponsor the tournaments, even provide a very well-informed group of casters to all the events. That's the one thing Hyros does very well, is their community interaction. All of their community leaders are developers. A lot of them produce content around the game on YouTube and Twitch. They do previews of all their patches on YouTube. They live stream it. They're very active on Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, and everything. They're right there. They're a part of the community, even though they're developers. And when they're casting these tournament games, you can tell that they're very well informed and that they play the game regularly. They are themselves parts of the community, even though they're the ones who create the game at the same time, which is really cool. There's not this usual, you know, developer disconnect, like there's that gap between developer and player that we're all so used to from other games. It's really nice to see. It's very refreshing. All in all, I would say gameplay in Paladins is very well made, even though it's, you know, it's a game that's still in development. But it shows a high level of execution and polish already, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. I would give the game all around probably an 8 out of 10. It does have some issues, and a lot of those I think are just issues I have with hero shooters in general. Like, I find, at least in Paladins, that there's not really one character I want to play all the time, and part of that can be just me and not really, you know, finding a character that I like. but also the way that the game is structured, you can't just play one character or two characters all the time. Sometimes you have to branch out, or you're forced to branch out to play other classes, you know, play a tank or play a healer or whatever. And you know, while that's fine and all, I also kind of wish that I could just pick one character up and master him and go forward. And that's not really, I don't know if that's so much an issue with Paladins or just an issue with a game like this in general. I know that TF2 definitely doesn't have as much of an issue with this because of the fact that there's so few character options and they all do multiple roles. Paladins and Overwatch both kind of suffer from this issue where I feel that because they put characters so starkly into these roles that, you know, there's no real freedom of movement. You know, a damaged character is not going to be able to tank. You know, a tank's not going to be able to put out a whole lot of damage. A healer can't really flex and get many kills. And you know, I find that maybe there's a bigger problem here with the emphasis on roles. Like if you take a look at a game like CSGO has roles, right? If you're very familiar with competitive CSGO, you know that there are defined roles in a team. But the thing is that those roles are not hard to find, and there's a lot of flexibility among all of them. Like there are entry fraggers and lurkers, and there's a main opera and like an in-game leader in a CSGO team. But all of them can kind of do everything. Like the opera can pick up a rifle and use an AK instead if he has to. And just because someone is an entry fragger for a team doesn't mean he's always the first one into a bomb site. I think roles in a game like Counter-Strike work very well because there's a lot more fluidity, and everyone you kind of have to be able to do everything. But then you look at how hard and streamlined roles are in a game like Paladins or Overwatch, and you can't tank as, you know, someone like Genji or like Maeve from Paladins. You can't. The characters aren't designed to be able to do that. I kind of wonder what these games would be like if they put less emphasis on roles and just on the characters themselves. It'd be really interesting to see. All in all, though, I would say Paladins is a very great game, and I think it's going to do very well. I would say if you're skeptical of an open beta, keep an eye on it for its full release, because I do think the game is going to be massively successful. The community is very dedicated, the esports is fantastic to watch, and clearly Hi-Rez is dedicated to making a fantastic game. Anyways, guys, this has been our review of Paladins. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more of me, make sure you subscribe to Nerdsmerize. Make sure you check out some of our other fantastic content. We've recently added 2 other creators as well, so make sure you go check them out, give them love as well. If you want to see more of me on my personal channel, you can find a link to that in the description as well as my Twitter and links to everyone else's Twitter as well. Make sure you check us out on Facebook. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.